Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, February 26th. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for joining with us again this week. Today, I'm going to provide an update for all of you in terms of what's happening with the Social Security windfall elimination provision, the so-called WEP law, or more specifically, what is going on in terms of our activities and the progress being made to reform the WEP and the GPO. But before I do so, let me get into a couple of other quick things. First and foremost, a week from today, next Friday, March 5th at 1 p.m., Mass Retirees will host another telephone town hall meeting for our members. Our special guest next week will be Massachusetts Congresswoman Katherine Clark. Now, this is a really big deal for us for a few reasons. First and foremost, Katherine Clark is a dear friend of ours. Those of you who have been with Mass Retirees for a while or even just follow Massachusetts politics, you know that Katherine Clark is someone who's very quickly risen through the ranks, both here in Massachusetts on Beacon Hill and more recently down in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. Katherine Clark first came to us when she was a state representative from the city of Melrose. She then became the state senator from Melrose. She was the chairman of the Public Service Committee during her time in the legislature. She is someone that we worked very, very closely with during that period of time, who is a close friend and ally of our association, particularly on the issues of retiree health insurance. And we've written about this in the past, and she played a very critical role 10 years ago now of working closely with our association to make sure that our members were protected during a major effort to reform public retiree health care here in Massachusetts. Since that time, she's been elected to the U.S. Congress, where she has risen very quickly up the ladder of leadership in the House of Representatives. She is now the number 4 ranking Democrat in the House. She is the Assistant Speaker of the House, a position that she was elected to at the end of 2020. So she's very high ranking, and we are just delighted that she is taking the time next Friday to spend an hour with us talking about what she's involved in Washington, D.C., talking about the windfall elimination provision, no doubt, and more importantly, hearing your thoughts and your concerns and answering your questions. So if you are available next Friday, please join with us. The information and the number to participate is contained in your newsletter. It's also something that we're going to email to you today. So if you're watching this video through the email that we sent this morning, the telephone number for you to participate will be in that email. And if you've received the automated call from us in the past to connect to the meeting, you'll get that again next Friday. So that's Friday, March 5th, 1 p.m. The next thing I want to just very quickly mention is that here in Massachusetts, the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination situation continues to evolve. It continues to improve day by day. So if you're someone living in Massachusetts who's age 65 and older, or if you're under age 65 and you have a couple of what they consider to be comorbidities, medical problems that would put you at risk from COVID-19, you are now eligible to be vaccinated. The problem that we have has really been twofold. One, the supply of the vaccines are not nearly what they need to be to meet demand. And then secondly, the process in which people can go about making an appointment, going and get vaccinated has been very convoluted. Now, the good news is that the supply of vaccines continues to improve week by week, not just here in Massachusetts, but around the country. And specifically here in Massachusetts, the process that's being employed or deployed to get people to make an appointment and get you access to the vaccine is really improving. And I'm very happy to report that just over the past week, Association President Frank Valeri and former Association President Ralph White have both been vaccinated, and I'm very grateful for that. Both Ralph and Frank did utilize the online process. They both received their vaccine, as far as I know, in the communities in which they live. So the message that they wanted me to deliver to you is that they're encouraging anyone who's eligible for the vaccine to please go ahead and get vaccinated. This is the best way for you to protect yourself and your loved ones from COVID-19. And then secondly, and more importantly, when you're trying to make the appointment, stick with it. You know, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to use a little bit of your patience, or a lot of your patience in some cases, but you will work through that process, whether it's dialing 211 to have someone call you back and make an appointment over the phone, or either you yourself or a family member or neighbor, someone helping you navigate the online system, whether it's through mass.gov or through your local city or town of where you live. And there are a lot of resources out there, and it just takes a little bit of ingenuity to seek out those resources, get you that appointment. And I'm very, very thankful that Frank and Ralph are on their way to being protected, and all of us are on our way to being protected. But we need to be vigilant. We need to keep up our guard and continue to protect ourselves against COVID. One of the consultants that we work very closely with on your behalf, just over the past couple of weeks, he and his family contracted COVID. They're all doing okay, but this gentleman did get pretty sick from it, and he's a younger guy. He's in his 30s, not someone who's in that high-risk category, and it really, really has taken him some time to just now start to recover from this. And it was a reminder for all of us of just how terrible and dangerous this disease truly is, and that we need to continue to be vigilant. So with that, let me shift over just quickly to the windfall elimination provision. As you know, WEP reform is really the biggest focus that we have on the national level, and it's the most frequent question that we get from you of what's happening with WEP. Right now in Massachusetts, we have 74,000 public retirees who have had their Social Security benefit reduced because of the WEP. Nationally, there are 2 million public retirees who have had their Social Security benefit reduced because of the WEP. So this is a big deal, and it continues to get worse year in and year out as new people retire. So it's something that we really need to find a solution for, and we've been working hard. You all know that, and you've been helping with that by contacting your congressmen and your U.S. senators, and pushing and pushing and pushing, and being that squeaky wheel that ultimately is going to get the oil, and that we're going to be successful in getting something done to bring relief to everybody who's impacted. Now, we have been working for quite some time very closely with our congressman here in Massachusetts, Representative Richie Neal. He's the congressman from Springfield. Richie, of course, is also the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. He has been our biggest ally and advocate in Washington, D.C. to reform the windfall elimination provision. The legislation that he had pending in the last congressional session, unfortunately, was not passed. That legislation has to be refiled now for the new session. That process is now underway, and we anticipate over the coming few weeks or month or so that a new bill will be filed by Congressman Neal. We are working with his office to gain as many co-sponsors as we can to kick off that effort. As soon as we have a bill number available, we'll get it out to all of you, with the hope that you will contact your local congressman and your member of the U.S. Senate, or members of the U.S. Senate, and ask them to please either A, sign on to the bill, or more importantly, make WEP reform a focus for the current congressional session, that we can get something done. We believe that the stars are aligned. We have the support in Congress, particularly in the House of Representatives, on both sides of the aisle, to move forward with bipartisan WEP reform this session. We also now have an ally in the White House. President Biden made WEP and GPO part of his presidential campaign platform. He agrees that these laws are wrong and need to be changed, whether they be repealed or they be reformed. So we have folks in place who agree that this is not a good situation and that you deserve better than this. So we need to take advantage of that and react to the moment and get this done this congressional session. And I'm very optimistic that we can finally get there, but it's going to take more work. So over the coming weeks, again, we will have a new bill filed by Congressman Neal for WEP reform. At the same time, we continue to work with our allies around the country, and we're finding new groups to work together with, like the retirees out in Southern California, who have approached us to be helpful, to get involved in this situation. Together, we're going to get this done. And as we have said, this is not something that us here in Massachusetts that we can do by ourselves. It is a true national effort. I know it is very frustrating. I know that there's a lot of anger with our members, and rightly so. something's been taken away from you very unfairly, something that you earned and you paid for, and now in your retirement that you're depending upon to make ends meet. And together we're going to find a way forward with this. It's going to take a little bit more time, and we'll get that information to you just as soon as it's available, so we can get back to work and hopefully sooner rather than later move this forward. Now, the last thing I want to mention about WEP reform is that we're going to get the question, and you're probably asking yourself, well, why can't this be part of the COVID-19 and federal stimulus bill that's now going through Congress? And that may be acted upon in the House and the Senate as early as today. The problem we have with that is that the process that's being used to avoid the filibuster in the Senate is something called reconciliation. And again, reconciliation is a procedural maneuver to avoid senators from filibustering. In the Senate, under the rules, it requires 60 votes to break a filibuster. Well, there probably are not 60 votes to pass the COVID-19 relief and federal stimulus bill because the conservative Republicans are dead set against it. And I don't want to get into the politics of that, but that's the situation right now. So in order to avoid that, the Democratic leadership in the Senate is using the reconciliation process. Under reconciliation, however, the rules stipulate that the bill cannot include any provisions that apply to Social Security. So unfortunately, that prevents WEP reform from being part of any type of bill that's being passed through the reconciliation process. That's the rules of the Senate. The votes are not there to change those rules. As you know, there's a 50-50 tie between Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, with Vice President Harris being the tiebreaker. And the rules, or the votes, are not there to either end the filibuster or overcome a rules change that would be required to change the situation. So we're playing the hand that we're dealt. We're going to find a way through this, but I wanted to be clear with all of you of what we're up against in the process going forward. But as soon as more information is available in the coming weeks, we will get this to you immediately, so all of us together can continue to work to resolve this. And the sooner that we can do this, the better off we're all going to be. But in the meantime, please stay safe. If there's anything we can do for you, please give us a call. We're here for you guys, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thank you so much.